Welcome, bienvenidos. Welcome to the Subiendo luncheon. I'm Ronnie Stidvent. I'm the director of the Subiendo Academy and a lecturer at the McCombs School of Business, and I want to welcome you here to the Alumni Center and to the University of Texas at Austin campus. We thank you so much for joining us here today, and I have to tell you parents who are joining us that I'm sure you are, but you have so many reasons to be proud of your students. The Subiendo students have just blown everyone away with their poise, their questions, their determination, and so please join me in giving them a big round of applause. Subiendo is new. I know many of you may know a little bit about Subiendo. It started just last year as a pilot project. This is our second year. And we've grown, we've doubled in size this year, we've gone statewide, and we're very excited about it. And we have so many people to thank for that. Subiendo is a result of a lot of dreaming and a lot of doing by a lot of people. First, as the students met last night, we have the Friends of Subiendo, who are the underwriters for the Academy. And that's Kenny and Susie Jastro, David and Suzanne Booth, Eduardo Repetto and Carla Figueroa, Joe and Teresa Long, and Gary and Sylvie Crum, and we are very, very grateful to them for their help this year. We also would like to thank our friends at the Target Corporation, and I don't know, do we have some of our friends here today from Target? They've been just wonderful. Not only have they supported us financially, but they've had representatives, team members from Target at many of our events and have gotten to know the students, so we're grateful for their support. We'd also like to thank AT&T, a big supporter of Subiendo and of the Hispanic Leadership Initiative. They're great friends, and we're very grateful for their support. And I don't know how many of you flew here to Subiendo. Can I see how many of you students flew here to Subiendo? Well, as you know, we're very grateful to Southwest Airlines for providing your tickets to get here this week. And so please thank all of our sponsors. We're also very fortunate to have a very active and engaged advisory council, and I frankly could not do this job without them. They provide invaluable support, help, advice, and you've met some of the members this week, and so I'd like to recognize our chair of the advisory council, Sada Martinez-Tucker, who many of the parents met before this lunch. Sada, if you could just wave or stand up. And Wolfgang Niedert, who's been a wonderful representative of the Advisory Council. Subiendo is housed at the University of Texas at Austin, and we have many friends inside the university as well, beginning at the very top, and that's President Powers. So please give him a big hand. President Powers is here with us today. When we say that Subiendo went from concept to reality in 9 months, that just simply wouldn't be possible without the support of the President and his office. So we're very, very grateful for your support. And of course, we want to thank our friends here at Texas Exes. They co-host this event with us, and I believe Leticia Acosta is in the back there. So thank you, Leticia, and your staff for being so helpful. One of our earliest partners in Subiendo was the Texas Politics Project, and that is led by Director Jim Henson, a professor in the Department of Government, an early friend of Subiendo, and one of my friends here, and I'm very lucky to have him as both. So please join me in thanking Jim Henson. Parents, your students have been supervised by some of the best and brightest students at UT. It's been a real treat to work with them all semester. They've been gearing up for this week, and they have worked 24/7 for the past week to be ready and to be working with your students. So I'd like to recognize our executive counselors, Sophia Checa, Graham Burrows, Sophia and Graham, our parent liaison, Diana Garcia, and today they're actually wearing the same color shirt as the students, which is the first time that's happened all week. But I'd like for all the counselors to rise and be recognized because this really works because of you. As I mentioned, Subiendo doubled in size this year. We had 47 students last year. We admitted 101 this year. We're very excited about that, but we were also very scared. And we had to call in some reinforcements. So I'd like to thank Tristina Opliger. Where's Tristina? Who's been helping out in the office, making sure everything runs all right. Brendan Levy, who is gracious enough to come and help us as our program manager. And last but not least, I know many parents had talked with her at the very beginning of this process. Students have been calling her at all hours, and I would like to say midnight is not a great time to call someone's cell phone. But she very graciously answered. She's been making sure that everything has been done, from the food we eat to the venues we've been at to the shirts that you're wearing. So please join me in thanking Vanessa Stotts. And Vanessa, where is Vanessa? Vanessa, we have a little something for you too. We have a very special treat today. We have Justice Eva Guzman here to speak, and before she comes to the podium, I would like to introduce someone who you met earlier today, if you're parents, and someone whom the students have gotten to know very well. She's the chair of the Subiendo Advisory Council, a distinguished alumna of the University of Texas at Austin. She most recently served as the Undersecretary of the Department of Education, the nation's top official for higher education. She was the CEO of the Hispanic Scholarship Fund, and she previously worked at AT&T, where she was the first Latina to become an executive there. She is an inspiration to the students, and I know because she's an inspiration to me. And I've known Sara for 2 years now, and I can tell you that when I hit a snag or when I'm struggling with something, I try and take a breath and think, how would Sara approach this? How would she think about this? And it helps me all the time. So please join me in welcoming Sara Martinez-Tucker.
Thank you, Ronnie. And I want you to know that none of that would have been possible for this girl from Laredo, Texas, had it not been for the University of Texas. So I can't tell you how happy I am that my alma mater has something like Subiendo going. I want to do 4 things. The first thing I've got to do is say thank you, my colleague Wolfgang and I, to the students, those of you that applied, competed to come here. Last year at our pilot, we thought we'll never feel this special again, but what you students have done this year is knocked our socks off. Listening to your policy presentations at the Capitol this morning, some of you saw me taking lots and lots and lots of notes. I've been at this for a long time, and I learned a lot from you. So let me just say thank you to the students. You did a great, great job. I also want to thank the Subiendo team, the Ronnie, Vanessa, the counselors, everybody here at the University of Texas who worked to support the students. You did a terrific job, and I just can't say thank you enough for the work that you did and how late you stayed up and how early you got up and how actively you problem solved when glitches came our way. So thank you to the entire Subiendo team. The Advisory Council greatly appreciates it. Earlier, I got the chance to congratulate the parents and the family members that are here today, and I told you what a great job your students did and what a great job you did in raising them to have the students behave the way they did. But I'm going to talk in a little bit about some special work I'm doing for the university. For those of you parents that drove to Austin earlier so that I could spend 2 hours with you picking your brain on what we could do to get more Texans into college and through college in the critical high-need fields, thank you very much for the time you extended me and the openness with which you answered my questions and given me ideas. So students, I know you'd want to join me in thanking your parents for all the support they provided you as well. And I saved the best for last. It is my great honor today to introduce you to someone that makes me want to work even harder for not only my alma mater, but my home state. Being president of the University of Texas at Austin is a big enough job as it is. We are one of the most respected colleges in the country, and keeping it there with all of the issues in higher education is a huge job. Add to that the issues that are facing the state of Texas. Add to that that we're in a legislative session. Add to that we've got transitions going in many parts of the economy and in many parts of what is happening in Texas with jobs. On top of that, what he calls me to talk about is bigger than the University of Texas. He talks to me about what is the responsibility of the premier flagship in a state to the state. What should I be doing? In spite of the fact that my plate is as full as it is, what should I be doing to make sure that we live up to our responsibility to the state of Texas as its premier flagship? What should we be doing to make sure that more students that normally wouldn't find their way to college find their way to college? What should we be doing to make sure that we keep the economy of Texas strong by attracting students to the high-need fields? What can we at the University of Texas be doing to support families and students and getting them information to make the right choices? When someone has their plate as full as it is, and someone adds more to their plate, and it's for you, it's for people like us who need help to get away, that tells me we could not be more lucky than to have President William Powers serving as our president. So please join me in thanking him, not only for the work that he does to make UT the best campus that I know of in this country, but what he does for the citizens of Texas, people like you and me that need the support of this institution. Bill, thank you for who you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. Sarah, thank you for that. And I have the great pleasure and privilege of introducing your keynote speaker today. And I want to do that in just a moment, but I want to thank some people as well. Some of them have been thanked. But looking out over this room, it's the kind of moment that makes what we do here at the university worthwhile. It's a wonderful sight to see all the parents and the students and the counselors and the supporters here in what is a just truly visionary and great program. So, Your Honor, if you'd just give me a moment to thank some people as well. You're in for a treat with our keynote speaker today. But I also want to thank Sarah. I won't go back through all the biography. Ronnie did that. That all leads to she is one of our distinguished alumni, meaning she's won our Distinguished Alumni Award. It's the highest honor we give, and you can tell why. Has given our commencement speech, is just so part of this Longhorn family. And the work that Sarah is doing now so that we can do a better, an even better job of making sure that we're attracting students from all over the state and every background so that we can fulfill our mission of being the great public university in America. So Sarah, thank you for the introduction and for all of that. And I won't go back and name every person that was thanked, all of the supporters. It's not just their financial support. I remember when Ronnie and Kenny Jastrow and Susie Jastrow, sitting, and it was the vision that they had, in addition to then putting their very substantial financial support behind it. All of the student counselors. It's a tremendous group of people that put this together, and it's people who know this will be a better world when you make it a better world. That's what this is about, when you make Texas a better Texas. It's that vision and of a lot of people who are named who make this happen. And none more than Ronnie Sidman. So this is your vision, your idea through bumps, and things don't just happen overnight, but your leader has persevered through this, and what a great, even in the second year, even in the first year, what a great success and wonderful program this is. It makes me proud to be a Longhorn, to stand up here and see all of you students and all of you parents out there. Just let me say a quick word to the students who are here. This is a leadership program. The idea is that you'll grow in your assuming leadership positions. I think it's a leadership program for us. When we just see the great ideas and where you've just excelled, and the hope and the vision and the optimism and the attitude of rolling up your sleeves and saying, you know, we're going to give back and make this a better world. I can tell you, I think we learn more and we get more out of this than you do. But I hope you're getting a great deal out of it. I had a student from last year's program. Came up to me at a program we're having at the Mexican-American Cultural Center here in Austin. It was about 3 or 4 months after Subiendo. Sometime in the fall. Subiendo was about this time of year last year. And she sought me out and didn't know who else to talk to. It wasn't my doing. She knew that. Couldn't find Ronnie, couldn't find the Jastros, or came up to me and said, I just came here tonight because I wanted to tell you Subiendo changed my life. There is nothing better for people in my line of work, in Ronnie's line of work, in Sarah's line of work, than that kind of comment. And so I would just invite you, let this and the other leadership experiences you're having on your campuses back home, in your churches, in your lives, let these experiences change your life. And then you'll go off and change the world. We have a saying, we don't change people. We don't change the world, we change people, and they change the world. Let this experience change your life and go out and change the world. And then finally, to the parents that are here, you must be, I know you are, just awfully proud of these young men and women. They didn't get to these spots, to this part of their life, emerging leaders, and that's probably a misnomer, leaders who will continue to emerge as leaders. That wasn't accidental. That started, you know, when you changed their first diaper, when you sent them off and worked with them through kindergarten and school and up through high school and nurturing them and picking them up and pointing them in the right direction. So I just say to all of you parents, you, I know, are very proud, and you've had a big part, a major part, the major part in getting these young people to where they are. So I think we ought to thank the parents one more time here. Well, thank you, Your Honor, and now it is a great privilege for me to introduce our keynote speaker today. Eva Guzman was born in Chicago. I should say her honor was born in Chicago, the fourth of 7 children. She was, when she was a girl, her family moved to Houston, and she still resides in Houston. And her parents taught her and the other children in the family that education was the key to success. And all 7 of your parents' children received college degrees and now are CPAs, engineers, lawyers, business executives. So that's the environment that you grew up in. And we were just talking about that a moment ago, that education was at the forefront. She earned her Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of Houston and a law degree from South Texas College of Law. And then in 1999, following 10 years of private practice involving family law and civil litigation, She was appointed by Governor Bush to the 309th District Court, a trial court in Harris County, where she served as a trial judge for almost 3 years as an appointee and then was subsequently elected to that position in 2000. In 2001, Governor Perry appointed her to the Houston-based Texas 14th Court of Appeals. She was elected then to fill an unexpired term in 2002 and to a full term in 2004. And in October of 2009, a lifelong dream came true when Governor Perry appointed her to the Texas's highest court, the Supreme Court of Texas. She was subsequently then elected to that seat, making her the first Hispanic female to be elected to statewide office in Texas history. And last year, Hispanic Business Magazine named her to the roster of its 100 most influential leaders. Quite an achievement for a young jurist. So Justice Guzman, we're honored to have you on our campus. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. It's my pleasure to be here. President Powers, thank you for that very generous introduction. Sarah Martinez-Tucker, I finally get to meet you. You are a legend in your own time, and I'm so honored to meet you and to be here today. Ronnie, thank you for the invitation to address this amazing audience, to our distinguished guests, and to the parents. I join you in celebrating the completion of this week for your students, where they got the opportunity to participate in the Subiendo program. What does Subiendo mean? Going up, right? And so to have this unique opportunity as rising seniors to be exposed to all of the things that you were exposed to is something to celebrate. So I congratulate you and I congratulate your parents. And I know, as I look out into this room, I know that the future of Texas is in great hands because you are our future leaders. When I look out into the room, I see the future Texas Supreme Court justices. I see our governors. I see our attorney generals, and maybe even our president. That is what you can accomplish with big dreams, with hard work, and with an education. I want to share with you today a little bit about my story and also share with you some of the lessons in leadership that I've learned along the way. As you heard, I began my journey to the Supreme Court of Texas, to Austin, Texas, in a very simple blue-collar neighborhood in Houston. It's called Eastwood. It was my barrio. And from that place, from those humble beginnings, I found my way to the highest civil court in the state, where every day we're presented with the most complex legal issues that come up in the context of an appellate court. The law that we interpret, the cases that we write, the opinions that we issue become part and are rooted in the jurisprudence of our state. I'm still reading opinions from 1873 and what have you, and 100 years from now, what we do on the court today will be looked at by someone. So it's a big job. Now, as you heard, my own childhood was blessed with love, but not with privilege. My parents had elementary school educations. They immigrated from a small town in Mexico, and they immigrated to America because they were looking for a place where they could work hard and where there would be opportunity for their children. My dad was a welder. My mom was a homemaker. But despite their own lack of education in their very, very humble beginnings, they knew, and if they knew nothing else, they knew this, that with an education, everything was possible. And as you heard today, all 7 of us are engaged as lawyers and accountants and NASA engineers and what have you. Both my parents are deceased now. I don't think they could have dreamed that their daughter would one day become the first Latina to serve on the Supreme Court of Texas. And I know that they would have been very happy to learn that their granddaughter, my daughter Melanie Alexis, just finished her first year at just a small institution on the East Coast, Harvard University. That's a pretty long journey in a short period of time. But I know today that many of you share a similar background. Although 30 years have elapsed since I was in high school, thanks for calling me young, President Powers. The struggles that we face and the challenges that we face haven't changed much. We're still facing very high dropout rates. We're still facing financial barriers as barriers that we have to overcome in order to succeed. But it's important, and the reason I share my story with you today, and as you can tell, it is a very personal story. It still brings up very strong emotions, but I share it with you, not just to inspire you to dream big and to work hard and to choose well, but hopefully to empower you, to give you an idea, a dream, a vision for tomorrow in America, in this land of hope and of opportunity and of promise. We don't make distinctions based on class. Race doesn't matter. No one is born into their place. Rather, doors open and opportunities abound for those who are willing to work hard. In our America, children can own the farms that their parents once tilled. The children of restaurant workers can someday own those kitchens. And the child of a welder and a homemaker can take her place at the state's highest civil court. When I took my place on the court, the first day back in October of 2009, is we have a robing room, a conference room in the back where we get ready to hear our cases, and we all put on our black robes and we put them on in order of seniority. There's 9 of us and everything's in order of seniority on the court. But I'm one of 7, I'm used to that. How many of you used to this? Older siblings get to go first. So as I put on my robe and I walked out that first day, I thought about the unique place in history that I occupied. Since the court's inception in the 1800s, there have been only 8 women who have served on the court. That's in about 200 years, only 8 women have had the opportunity to sit on that court and to shape the jurisprudence of our state. And as I prepared to enter the courtroom and we line up and we march through a long hallway, when I walked in, I looked around the walls, and they're lined with the portraits of the justices that served there before I did. None of them looked like me. None of them look like most of us in this room. But the important lesson in that is not that our portraits don't hang there now, but that our portraits will hang there in the future. Now and in the future, because I expect to see some of you on that Texas Supreme Court. And so I want to share with you now just a couple of lessons that I've learned along the way that I think are relevant to today. And one of them is the power of education. The power of education. Take advantage of every opportunity that's presented to you. understand that for many of us, education is the only key to a brighter future. It can change lives, it can change families, you can make history, and it is transformative. It will change your destiny. My mom, that woman with the third grade education, taught herself to read, to write, to paint. When she died, she left a book of poetry that she had written. That's the power that comes with education. And she always told me, there's no substitute for a good education, and no one can take that from you. The second lesson that has shaped my life and my journey is this notion of excellence, this commitment to excellence. There are no secrets to success, Colin Powell once said. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and a commitment to excellence. Excellence has to be your end goal. Just enough is not good enough. I've seen over the years true excellence in leaders who've shaped my own experiences. And what I've learned is that we're strengthened when we strive for and achieve excellence. Rick Warren, the author of a bestseller, A Purpose-Driven Life, said that nothing shapes your life more than the commitments you choose to make. I know that all of you in this room are already committed to excellence, or you wouldn't be here today. You were chosen from a very crowded field to take your place in this wonderful, wonderful program, the Academy for Rising Leaders, the Subiendo Academy. I want to urge you to continue to strive for excellence. When you do, you will find that the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the commitment to excellence that you choose to make, regardless of whether you want to pursue law or medicine, or maybe you want to teach, or maybe you want to become an engineer. Vince Lombardi, the famous coach, said, the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field or endeavor. Every profession has its elite. President Powers, part of that elite, part of those leaders that are committed to excellence. And what else does it bring? Excellent, when you're committed to excellence, it's going to bring joy. How many of you are happy that this program is over? No. I expected to see a few more hands. But when you're committed to excellence, you applied for the program, you were chosen, and you found joy in this week. You found joy in the experiences, you found joy in the learning. Excellence, Pearl Buck, a famous author, said, the secret of joy in work is contained in one word, excellence. To know how to do something well is to enjoy it. So in summing up on this point of excellence, I will remind you that true leaders are committed to excellence. They have a very high sense of the way they're going to do things. They're not content with mediocrity. That's just not, it's never just good enough. They do not do the ordinary things as others do them. They always do it a little bit better, a little more efficiently, a little more effectively. They always seem to be top-notch in everything they do. How many of you know people like that? No matter what they do, they seem to be the best. They seem to be top-notch. I guarantee you they're committed to this notion of excellence, and true leaders that are committed to excellence will conquer the highest mountains. Thirdly, I have 4 things to share with you. Find a mentor. How many of you have mentors in your life? Now you do? You know, you don't get from the barrio to the Supreme Court of Texas without strong mentors in your life. And I've been very fortunate to have mentors along the way. But what I like to share with young people is that you need to find these mentors. Don't attempt to do this on your own. Seek out mentors and remember to be a mentor. Mentoring holds the greatest promise for our future. Mentors can help you set goals and evaluate your progress. They can help you reflect on your performances and the decisions that you've made. And there will be times as you decide where you're going to go to college and what classes you're going to pursue, when you'll need to look for some direction. Don't forget to find a mentor early on, latch onto that mentor, and continue that throughout your life. And finally, this notion of determination. When I applied for that first job as a judge in 1999, the person interviewing me asked me, he said, well, you're very young. Are you really going to sit on this trial court for 20 years? I said, no, I'm going to be on the Supreme Court of Texas. And so he just kind of smiled, and I didn't know if that was the right answer or the wrong answer, since I hadn't landed that job yet, but you know, I was planning ahead. But it's important to have this vision. You need to really see yourself where you want to be and to be determined. Other people and other things can stop you temporarily. They can put a temporary hold on your plans, but you're the only one who can do it permanently. And with this leadership and with this vision and with this determination, you will have the power to change and to transform your community, your state, and our country. Just to close, one of the things I've learned as a judge for over the last 12 years or so is that a more just world is not primarily dependent upon courts of law. We're bound by precedent. We're bound by trial records. But rather, a more just world is achieved by private individuals, people just like you, who set about to create a better world through the power of advocacy and the courage to make that change. The America we live in today, the one I talked about earlier, where we don't make distinctions based on class or race and anything is possible, it's really not just the product of those U.S. Supreme Court decisions that ended segregation and discrimination. It's the product of leadership like Martin Luther King, who used his voice to convict the conscience of a nation, didn't use a courtroom, used his voice. Roberto Clemente, who inspired so many of today's athletes to chase their professional dreams, to enter a world that was previously closed to them. Our first woman in space, our first woman on the United States, Latina woman on the United States Supreme Court, Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Individuals who've set out to transform their world, to make it a better place, not through the courtroom, not through cases, but through their individual courage and their commitments. By participating in this program, as you move into your senior year in high school, you've already achieved. You're doing so much better than so many in our Latino communities, and I address these comments to mostly our Latino students. We still have dropout rates that hover around 50%. Many of you will be the first in your families to go to college. Many of you will be the first in your families to do many things. I want you to know that I'm very proud of you. And I am so glad to share this day with you as you complete this program. It's the first of many for you, I am certain. You're a testament to the progress we've made as a society, and you're a testament to the future. I'm going to close with one of my favorite quotes by Henry David Thoreau, who incidentally lost his father as a young boy, was raised by his mother and his aunt, was one of about 5 children, way back when, endured many, many hardships, managed to enroll at Harvard at the age of 14, and the rest is history. But he said, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined." To all of you, go confidently in the direction of those dreams. Live the life you have imagined, and the rest will be history. You will shape that history. Thank you very much.